Modern feminism. Is it the single greatest force for empowering women and achieving true equality? Or has it become a movement that unfairly demonizes men and creates more division than unity? This is one of the most explosive topics talked about today. Let's debate about it.
Let's be perfectly clear. Modern feminism has been an overwhelming force for good. It's about completing a historical mission, achieving genuine equality for all genders. For centuries, society was structured to benefit men, and the progress we've made is a direct result of feminist movements fighting for change. We're talking about tangible, life-altering victories. Women secured the right to vote, to own property, and to pursue higher education because feminists fought for it. Congress passed the Equal Pay Act and Title IX, which revolutionized women's sports and educational opportunities because of relentless feminist pressure. We've seen a significant increase in women in politics and leadership roles, providing diverse perspectives that benefit everyone. The #MeToo movement, powered by social media, has exposed the systemic nature of sexual harassment and sparked real policy changes, like the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act. Feminism gives women the right to control their own bodies and futures. This isn't about attacking men, it's about dismantling an outdated patriarchal system that frankly harms men too by trapping them in rigid stereotypes. Feminism is the engine of progress, and its work has empowered millions and made our society more just.
I'm not here to argue against the historical wins of first-wave feminism. I'm here to challenge what modern feminism has become. It has lost its way, transforming from a movement for equality into an ideology that often promotes female superiority and casts men as the enemy. There's a pervasive narrative that men are inherently privileged oppressors, which completely ignores the struggles many men face. For example, men are far more likely to be homeless, to be victims of workplace fatalities, and tragically have drastically higher suicide rates. Yet, these issues are often downplayed or even ignored within mainstream feminist discourse. Instead, we see a focus on concepts like toxic masculinity and sweeping generalizations that create a climate of guilt and defensiveness for young men. The movement often seems more interested in policing language and focusing on minor issues like whether women shave their armpits than addressing profound societal problems. Furthermore, some factions of the movement have adopted extreme rhetoric, with phrases like "kill all men" becoming disturbingly common online. While most feminists don't believe this, its popularity pushes away potential male allies and creates an us versus them mentality that is counterproductive to true equality. Modern feminism isn't just fighting for equality anymore, it's actively breeding resentment and demonizing half the population.
Your argument fundamentally misunderstands the nature of systemic power. Pointing to men's issues doesn't disprove the existence of patriarchy. In fact, it proves its negative impact on everyone. The pressure on men to man up and suppress their emotions, which contributes to higher suicide rates, is a direct consequence of the same toxic gender roles that feminism seeks to dismantle. Feminism is the solution, not the problem. You criticize the #MeToo movement, but it gave a voice to countless victims of sexual violence who were silenced for decades. You called a focus on body hair trivial, but it's part of a larger fight against oppressive beauty standards that reduce women to objects. And the idea that feminism is man-hating is a tired old stereotype used to dismiss legitimate grievances. The anger you see is the righteous anger of the oppressed. For centuries, women have been harassed, assaulted, and denied equal opportunities and pay. To ask them to relax is to ask them to accept injustice. This isn't about demonizing men, it's about demanding accountability from a system that has historically favored them. You say feminism helps men, but many men don't feel helped, they feel attacked. A global survey found that 1/3 of men believe that feminism does more harm than good. You can't just dismiss that as a misunderstanding. When a movement consistently frames masculinity as toxic, it shouldn't be a surprise that men feel alienated.
You talk about systemic power, but in the real world, that power dynamic isn't so simple. In family courts, men often face bias in custody disputes, a bias rooted in the very gender roles you claim to fight against. You celebrate the #MeToo movement, but for many, it blurred the lines between assault and awkward social interactions, creating a climate of fear where men's lives can be ruined by a mere accusation. And while you claim the man-hating rhetoric is just a stereotype, it's visible and loud enough online to drive men away. The movement has become so focused on female victimhood that it fails to see men as individuals, lumping them all into the category of oppressor. That's not equality, that's prejudice.
The facts of history and the realities of today are undeniable. Feminism is responsible for the most significant strides in women's rights over the last century. It has secured legal protections, opened doors to education and careers, and started vital conversations about consent and bodily autonomy. The journey isn't over. A significant gender gap persists. Women are still vastly underrepresented in top leadership positions, and violence against women remains a global crisis. To abandon the principles of modern feminism now would be to surrender the fight for a truly equitable world. The discomfort some men feel is the discomfort of a long overdue power shift. It is the growing pains of progress. Feminism has empowered women, and in doing so, it has created a path towards a society where everyone, regardless of gender, can be liberated from harmful stereotypes and achieve their full potential. It is, and always has been, a fight for a better world for everyone. Let me be clear. The goal should be equality, but modern feminism has, for many, become an obstacle to that goal. It has created a toxic gender war dynamic where dialogue is replaced with accusation. It alienates the very men it needs as allies by painting them with a broad, negative brush. It focuses on perceived slights while ignoring genuine crises facing men like suicide and homelessness. The movement has become less about equal rights and more about a narrative of perpetual female victimhood and male villainy. We are told that patriarchy is the source of all problems, but this simplistic view ignores the complex realities of individual lives. True progress requires moving beyond blame and division. It requires recognizing that both men and women can face hardship and that our struggles are often interconnected. It's time to move past the divisive rhetoric of modern feminism and toward a more inclusive, humanistic approach to achieving genuine equality for all.
All right, you've heard the arguments, so what's your take? Let me know if you think modern feminism has empowered women or has it just unfairly demonized men? Would love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this debate, slap that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you for watching, and remember, insight prevails over division, so let's continue the conversation.